Whatever the others are saying, if this is what you want for your own house, go for it. And same for furniture. If you like a piece of something, buy it.
Welcome to Style Stories, brought to you by Easy Living Interiors, helping you transform your space and create the feeling of home. You love interiors, we love interiors, so let's talk about it. You are very welcome to another episode of Style Stories with Easy Living Interiors. I'm Laura and today's guest is Anna, the creator behind Iaorana House, a beautifully calm, light-filled home in the Cork countryside that has quietly captivated thousands of people online. A home defined by texture, natural light and thoughtful architectural decisions, from seamless lime finishes and micro-cement to soft zoning, indoor-outdoor living and spaces designed around real family life. In this episode, Anna shares what it takes to create a home like this, the decisions along the way, the finishes that transformed how she thinks about interiors, and how building her own home led to her finding a new passion and starting her business, Maison Anna B. If you've ever dreamed of creating a home that feels calm, intentional, and completely your own, this conversation is for you. So good morning, Anna. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for coming in. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's great to have you here because we've shot in your home a couple of times over the years and we've really kind of seen that journey. So it's great to have you here. It's kind of very full circle.
I'm delighted to be in your own house this time.
Yes, exactly. So for someone coming to the podcast and this is their first time hearing about Iaorana House, how would you describe your home in a few words?
I'd say it's a bungalow of like 221 square meters. We're located based near Cork and the house was built on top of a field. So we're very much surrounded by the beautiful Irish landscape.
In terms of like the site location as well, it's amazing how you've worked with the context and not against it.
Yes.
So let's talk about, I suppose, the stone outside and how that naturally sits into the context. So how did the site influence the way that you approach the build?
For me, it was very important to work around the sun. We're in Ireland, but the natural light and how it would flow within the house. So we have very little plain walls. We have mainly windows in that house and doors. Just because, again, for me, that was very important to enjoy the landscape, seeing outside. We're so lucky because we can see the horizon where we are. And for me, just closing that, those views with the walls wouldn't have made sense, right? So when we chose, the materials, it was trying to respect nature and fit in. So that's why we went for a bungalow and not two-story, just to remain low on that site. But also we use the gold Donegal quartzite for the stones outside. So to really try to use Irish, whatever the soil was bringing as much as possible.
Yeah. And that's something I really see with you as well. You have a real appreciation for the art of home, I suppose, when we talked about micro cement and how you have a real appreciation for women getting creative. So talk about micro cement and lime wash. How did you kind of find that and what was it that led you to, first of all, wanting that in your home and then I suppose learning how to do it yourself?
Yeah. So there's always that thing when you renovate or when you build a house where you're right, okay, can we save money? Because I really want that finish. It's quite expensive, but can we do it ourselves? That's question we asked ourselves a lot throughout the process. There was little that we could do ourselves, but regarding that micro cement and the lime paint, I think I was very attracted by those textured finishes. And that's when early in the process, when I started pinning my Pinterest, inspiration pictures or Instagram. And it was really, I was attracted, by those finishes. At the time, 4 years ago, there was no one in Ireland, doing or offering that kind of service. So it's really, I didn't have the choice. I really wanted those finishes, but didn't have the choice of trying to do it myself. But I went to France because I'm French, and so in France it's very common finishes for homes, and so I went there and I discovered that it was actually a lot of women doing that job of applying micro cement and lime paint, lime renders, and I was really inspired by that. And long story short, I managed to get 2 women from France to come over to Cork for 2 weeks and train me. And it was an awakening for me, right? Really found myself a passion in that. And we did my bathroom. We painted the wall in the living room. And then I started doing my own fireplace and then toilet walls. when you really love something and you really want something in your house, don't give up as much as possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sounds like your own belly pock.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
So tell me, the name Iaorana House,
Yes.
what's the story behind the name?
It's coming from Tahiti, right? So the Polynesian islands. We went there with Connor at a very special time of my life. It was after my mom's passing, and I had a little bit of money and from her, and I was just like, okay, it's either I put that in the house or you know what, let's go to Bora Bora. So that's literally, that's
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is like, so it's islands over there, and the people are so friendly, smiling all the time. And Iaorana is what they say in the morning instead of saying good morning. And when we came back to Ireland, I just realized that this is what is happening in Ireland. Everybody in the street would tell you good morning, good morning. So I was like, oh my God, there's a lot of similarities, like, between the two cultures and people. So I was like, Iaorana is like good morning in Tahiti.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And I came back pregnant with Jake
Yes.
from that trip.
Yes.
So it was like a lot of meanings.
So your house is literally saying good morning.
Exactly. And it's all about the sun. I know we're in Ireland, but like when the sun is shining, it's just the most beautiful country.
Yeah. And talk about the summer we had last year as well. And you've been working on your garden and your outdoor area has totally transformed. It's incredible.
Make it like, fit the whole like aesthetic is one thing, but also like, we want something that is low maintenance, but at the same time, respect nature, and the color scheme had to be like, fitting with the rest of the outdoor. And I love looking at my flowers and plants and trees, like, growing. It's just like, a new passion unlocked kind of. So
And you've done an amazing job, but I think it's really important as well. It's taken time. When did you start building?
5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
And was it 4 years then to the day you moved in from starting the build?
So we started building, probably like, 5 years ago now. And then like, it took us 2 years. So we're like in the house, like, 3.5 years. Something like that.
And through that time, you've been kind of changing. So I think it's really important for people listening to know that when you build your home, it's still going to evolve over time. So everything doesn't have to be done at once. Like you added your mezzanine.
Yes.
And then you also added, obviously, the additions to the garden. So what would you say to people who might just feel a pressure to get it all done at once?
Yeah. I was so like that myself at the beginning, thinking I'll have my luggages, moving in, everything done. No, like the list of things that still need to be done is so long. It's just like, I guess, focus on what you really want, what you're really sure of. Everything you're not sure of, wait until you live in the house and you really understand your needs. I think a lot of people look at pictures online like, I want that, oh, that will be amazing. But once you're in and you live in the house, you're like, oh, actually, I don't really like that color. I don't really like that, So it's like, make less choices, and that would help big time with the decision fatigue that you feel at one stage. So just, focus on what you really want, spend the money on things that you really want, and then the rest will come.
And I really wanted to ask you as well, how much would you say your house now looks like, let's say, your vision boards that you would have created?
Yeah.
And what changes maybe surprised you about the final result?
I had a very specific idea of how I wanted to feel in my house. Not necessarily how it looked, but more like, what the things I would look at every day would make me feel, right? So I think the choice of materials for me is extremely important. When I look at the pictures of like, and that's funny because I did that last weekend, I'm looking at like, old pictures when we started looking at the house, and I actually thought, oh my gosh, I was quite spot on, like, and I forgot about those screenshots of things, but I kind of have, that feel. And again, back to that feeling, when I was looking at those pictures, they made me feel something. And I think I was quite spot on recreating that feeling in the house.
And what would you say the feeling of home means to you?
Warmth.
Yes.
Right? Somewhere where I can just take off my shoes, walk barefoot in my house, and just like, have that sense of like natural light coming in. And now obviously the kids and my partner Connor and all of that. But for me, it's really like that feel of taking off my shoes and just feeling like, I'm at home. Like it's hard to describe even.
Yeah. I think you just know it when you have it.
Yeah.
It's like, I saw you had a reel and it was like the end of a work day, the glass of wine, going outside and just sitting down and watching the sunset.
Exactly. I never had like a family home myself, like in my childhood, we were moving like a lot. So I never had that feel of really being at home. And it's only now, as like 40 plus that I have that feeling. And I know this is what I'm transmitting to my kids as well, right? So it's really like, a safe space where you come home, there's no more other problems, but it's just like, you're in your like safe space, like, yeah.
And I suppose it's quite poignant then that the land that you're on is Connor's family land. So there is a real sense of home there.
Totally.
Did that mean a lot to you when you were building that it was on family land?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we're extremely grateful for that, especially when you look at like the markets at the minute in Ireland. So we're very lucky people to have that, especially where it's located, because again, the views are like amazing. And it's great, again, because I didn't have that myself. So I don't know that as a French person, like, transmission of land and things. So it's really new to me. But I know that, like, for Connor, for his parents, there's something like, very like important to that. And I'm so respectful of this and just like trying to transmit that to my own kids as well. I think it's fantastic to have like, such a sense of family and being close together up to a point, right? But, so we have a lovely gate now, where people have to ring before they come in. But yeah, so no, that's just like, it's fantastic. Yeah.
And so the natural light in your house is incredible. There isn't really a place in your home where you can't see the natural light. And you did some really clever things to keep that. So the Louvre, that you have instead of a door.
Yes.
That's so smart. So tell people who might not listening, what is a Louvre and what does it do? Yeah.
It's basically like, so you can choose the kind of timber you want, but we went for oak, like kind of, timber boards, I guess, right? And just like probably like, slightly not straight, but slightly...
Yeah, at an angle.
An angle, exactly, at an angle. So like for me, that was, again, the last steps of that staircase was a bit dangerous. And I was just like, I don't want to extend the wall. Let's find a smart way. And genuinely, let's Google that and look at pictures. I kind of like that. How can I do that? For me, it's also, our builder was amazing, really understanding my vision. So every time I was coming with like a picture of, how can we make that happen? He would come up with solutions. And I think building, renovating, surround yourself with people who understand what you want really, and don't hesitate to actually push and to just like, really, okay, I really want this. How do we make it happen, right? So like with the light, again, it's just like, there's a lot of like, nice things to look at in the house and angles and things. And I didn't necessarily think when I've done that, we're going to see like, the outdoor stones, but it worked out that way. So I think it's just like, one of those things that worked well.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily always need plain doors, walls to create a visual separation and still let a bit of natural light coming in.
And the doors as well that you have are stunning. Your front door is beautiful as well.
Oh, yeah. And that's timber. And it's been like, one of those things that I had to push for. People making that door told me, are you sure you want to go for that? Because there are risks of this and that and that. And I said, listen, trusting my gut, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And it's been like, 4 years in and it hasn't moved. It has like, probably the timber has faded because of the sun, but I love that. That's part of the things where your house will never be clean and perfect all the time. And you want that as well, right? So it's like traces of time, basically.
Yeah.
Love that, yeah.
Aww. Is there anything in your home, decisions that you made that people might not necessarily notice, but there was a real thought process and decision made behind it? So let's say some of the details I can think of are the arch that you have as opposed to a door, again, separating the living from the bedroom area. So what are the things that you really thought about that might kind of go unnoticed?
Pretty much everything, I'll be honest with you. That's why it's very overwhelming at one stage, because like it's not only just a few rooms, it's like an entire home when you do like, new builds like that. Now that was like a last minute decision. And I think it's like, sometimes you're just in the space while the house is being built and you're just like, oh my gosh, I see that. I have a vision of that. And, I want this. So that arch for me was really to create a way in between the living space and the bedrooms and bathrooms, but still using, soft shapes, I guess. And I'm seeing like a lot of arches now, like, in homes like being built in the country. And I absolutely adore that. Softening a bit, right? And you don't really see that when you enter. You're like, oh, it's nice. Oh, it's a lovely arch. But it's just like, one of those things where I'm just like, yeah, I was right to, again, listen to my gut, yeah.
And it's really important as well for people listening to always remember it's your home, you live in it. Yeah. So ultimately, like you say about the door, you might be advised to go another direction, but ultimately you're the one that lives with the decisions that you make along the way.
Oh my God, absolutely. And recently I've seen like, something online and someone was saying, I found that like, brilliant because it's literally that whatever the others are saying and whatever the others' opinions, if this is what you want for your own house, go for it, And same for furniture. Not everything has to match with each other. If you like a piece of something, buy it. Like for me, it was trying to make something cohesive throughout the house, but still at the same time, let a bit of like, For me as bedroom, for example, I went for a very classic look with like, a bit of a paneling, wallpaper. But then in the living room, you could feel that like, you're in a Mediterranean country, for example. So just really listen to yourself and do what you like. You live in that house. Yeah.
And so what's next? Anything else coming up that you've got planned? Well, your business. Let's talk about your business. Your home led to Maison Anna B.
Yes. Yeah.
So when did you just decide I'm doing this?
I guess that's like, the magic of Instagram, because I've documented the journey of doing this, like, our bathroom at the time. And I got contacted by interior designers in the country who were very interested with that, and people even, for their own home. So for me, it was just like, right, there's a need, there's a demand, so what about like, and there's no one doing it. And so what about I'm giving it a go? And I think it grew and the demand became like, even bigger. And I was like, okay, so there's definitely something here. And I think it was just like, at a time of my life where I was like, yeah, maybe it's a time for a change and I'm ready for a new challenge. And I think when you find your passion, it would be a real like, ways to not try to give it a go. So it started from there. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you trained with French women.
Yes.
So what did that experience give you beyond the technical skills?
Yeah.
What did you kind of find you gained out of training with French women like yourself?
So there's no school for that kind of craft womanship in this case, but it's just like a transmission of knowledge, okay, of savoir-faire, as we say in French. And in France, these women are self-employed and they call each other on jobs. It's a proper sorority that has been created, and I found that so inspiring. There's no competition as such. It's just like we all work together and we're doing the exact same thing and we're having fun while we're working. So for me, that was that thing of, right, trying to reproduce what is over there. I'm still in contact with them on a daily basis. When we have a technical question on site, I'm texting them. So it's just amazing. And the brand we're using, the product we're using is a French brand. And, it's the same. It's just I feel that I'm really bringing a bit of my French side, to Ireland. And I think there's a purpose to that. It's there's a meaning really to that for me. Yeah. So that's just very inspiring to see women in trades. I think my story is not exceptional in the sense that a lot of people are changing completely, jobs at 40-ish. But I think it's just seeing women doing that job in trade in a sector that is not, very represented by women. I think this is particularly interesting.
Yeah, it is for sure. And it's that whole thing of women teaching each other and passing down kind of learned knowledge. And you're even passing that on now through your Instagram and educating people about it.
Yeah, totally.
And the last time we interviewed you, I was like, your house is very Kardashians. And you were like, well, she stole that idea from me. But it's really nice to see that you are kind of setting trends and kind of pushing that knowledge out there. So it's amazing.
Do you know what? Genuinely, I don't think that way, in the sense that I'm not like, I think this is what's going on. Like when I look at lime paint, for example, which is very much accessible for anyone who wants to apply it themselves, I think this is brilliant to show people that it's possible. I had no training before. I was working in Apple doing project management, absolutely no experience whatsoever in DIYing, but I still made it happen. So it's possible. Really, anything is possible. Yeah.
Oh. And so have you a favorite project that you've worked on? Or is there any kind of moments in business where you were like, it was kind of like a pinch me moment on a project you were doing?
For me, the pinch me moments are when I'm working with like interior designers I'm following for years and was admiring their work for all that time and be part of their project and bringing my own piece to their project is something where I'm just like still pinching myself, definitely.
Aww.
Maybe like another pinch me moment for me was like, to be part of House and Home magazine in January, and I have a full page on lime paint and lime wash. And for me, it's just like pinch me moment of seeing me, my company on that magazine amongst like so many other professionals that I admire deeply, and be there. So that's very fantastic journey.
It's amazing. So Anna, how did you discover lime paint and micro cement?
So when I started looking at pictures of like the interiors I wanted for the house, I was very attracted by all those textured finishes. And when I looked into it in Ireland, couldn't find anyone who knew about micro cement or lime paint. So I looked at France, and actually in France it's like very common. It's like people would like very much choose micro cements for different rooms in their homes and lime paint, etc. So and I started looking into who was applying that and found out that a lot of women were doing it. And I got so inspired by that, just seeing these women just getting dirty and making rooms look amazing. And I was really inspired by that. And I started following them. And long story short, got in contact with one of them. And one day she offered me to actually come to Ireland. And she had a pen pal, for years. And she was like, it's the occasion for me to actually meet with her again. So can I come? So there's a lot of background stories to it as well. And so anyway, so there were two women coming from France, and they stayed in my house, and we did the bathroom, painted the living room. And it was the beginning of just a love story with these finishes.
Wow. And actually just on finishes. So in your home, every finish is really clearly considered. So your tile, even the timber that's on your overhangs. Talk about finishes and I suppose give people some advice on choosing the right ones for you in your home.
For me, it's really be mindful of the materials that you're using. And completely, some of them are expensive, but you will never regret investing in things that will last in the house, right? And just putting the money into those things. So we have polished concrete throughout the living space. It was a very important part of the house. We wanted something seamless as possible, but at the same time, something that wasn't too cold. With polished concrete, it's hard to achieve that, but it was just that kind of way of, we have concrete on the floor, we want timber. I have that dream where I want to add timber beams in my living space. So it was completely out of the budget, and I regret so much not adding that from day one. But anyway, one day it will happen. But adding some warmth, if you have some cold materials. So if you're going for polished concrete, oak, timber, you can't go wrong, okay?
And even your furniture as well is very considered. There isn't a piece of furniture in your home that doesn't serve a function as well.
Yeah.
So it's not like you've kind of filled a space for the sake of putting stuff in there. It's all very considered.
Yes. And we didn't buy much more since we moved in because of the budget question. But on top of that, it's we're satisfied with what we have. And I think it's just you get used to anything. So if you have less, you will get used to less, if that makes sense, right? And sometimes less is more to me. And again, we have so much to look at around. We didn't want to have the house too cramped or just like too packed with things inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as well, you just maintain that flow as well. There's nothing to kind of break the flow.
Exactly. Like we have the kids there and, you know, they're running around the place and they live their own lives. The same, it's just like, you know, I went for very like creamy light color furniture, but I know it's going to not last perfect forever, and I'm completely okay with that, right? So again, invest in things that will last, that you're happy to live in for like a while.
Amazing. So quick fire round.
Yeah.
So what is your favourite song at the moment?
Kingfisher.
Kingfisher, yeah.
Love that song.
And what is your favourite TV show or film at the moment? Bridgerton?
I had like, you know, a few episodes of the last season of Bridgerton. Yes, I have to admit that.
And what is your favourite holiday destination?
I have to say Bora Bora, because that was just like, you know, an absolute like dream come true. I love the ski holidays are quite like, yeah, lovely.
What is your favourite restaurant in Cork?
Elbow Lane. I know.
Favourite place in Ireland?
So many, but let's say Blarney.
Oh, yeah, you can see Blarney Castle from your house.
Exactly.
Perfect. Well, Anna, thank you so much for joining us on Style Stories.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on Style Stories with Easy Living Interiors. You can hear all the news, including links to more information, in the description area of this podcast. Please share our show with a friend who might enjoy it. Simply search Style Stories with Easy Living Interiors on Apple, Spotify or YouTube. This podcast is produced by justpod.io for Easy Living Interiors.